Hi everyone, welcome back to our final video lesson, our week 8 video. It is hard to believe that it's already been 8 weeks of piano study. I hope that you guys are feeling really proud of all of the progress that you have made. You absolutely should be, and are ready and inspired to continue working and continue learning piano. So for this video, I'm gonna give you guys a lot of information and a lot of songs to continue working on and just give you kind of an introduction. So there's gonna be quite a few songs that we cover in this. And we're gonna go ahead and just jump right in with some of our flashcards. And since you guys are getting to be kind of old hats at this, I'm going to just kind of hold these here so that you can pause and practice and let you work on these on your own. So for these groups, we have notes that are going back and forth between steps and skips. So the reminder that to notice skips, notes that are not right next to each other, we look for this pattern of like line on line or space to space. And that when notes are right next to each other, when we have neighbors, it goes line, space, space, line, etc. So just be really careful for that. This is a great way to warm up for reading pieces because one of the most important things that you want to be able to do is recognize the difference between steps and skips in your reading. We also have a little kitty joining us for the lesson on the bench right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys several of these to look over. I recommend, again, maybe use one per day. So here we go. The first one, pay attention to your clef, your starting note, starting finger. You can try that treble clef line, the bass clef line, and then also doing a little rhythm reading there at the bottom. That's the first one, pause and practice. Okay, here is another one for you. Remember, when we have notes that are right on top of each other like this, that means we play them at the same time. So again, note the starting note and also the starting finger number. And here's the next one. And here's the next one. Careful for the rest through here. Even though the first two aren't really specifically for rhythm, still a really good idea to practice good counting and good rhythm reading on these two. And how about one more, just for extra practice this last week, give you plenty to work on. Here's the last one. Careful with the rest and the rhythm reading also. Remember to count out loud in a way that makes sense to you and that works well for you. Fabulous. So let's go ahead and jump into the pages that we're going to look at in your book for this week. So today we're going to go ahead and start out with page 68, which is the parallel promenade and the contrary catwalk. I always say catwalk, it's cakewalk. To me, it's catwalk, and I'm always going to say a catwalk. As we noticed earlier, I'm a crazy cat lady, so it's just how I roll. When we talk about parallel and contrary motion, we're talking about the direction that our hands are moving in relation to each other. So when my hands are moving in the same direction as each other, both are going up, both are going down, that is parallel motion. Makes sense. When my hands are moving in opposite directions, that's contrary motion. Now, typically when we're playing in parallel motion, that's when we're playing the same note names. So if we think about our C 5-finger, like our C pentascale position, we don't have the same fingers on the same keys, but we're using the same notes. We have a C, D, E, F, G, and my C is with a pinky in one hand and a thumb in the other. And on the other hand, I've got a thumb and a pinky on G. So it just kind of makes sense. Same note names, but not same finger numbers. When I do contrary motion, that means I'm usually doing the same finger numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which if I was on a C position, for example, would not be the same notes. It would be C and G, D and F, E and E is the same, 3 is the same, F and D, G and C, so on and so forth. So that's just to give you a little introduction to those terms. A lot of us, we've kind of talked about that before in our lessons. And a really easy trick for if you want to know, is this parallel motion, is this contrary motion, if you're not, can't remember, is to just draw some lines that show the direction of the notes. And you might want to draw them a little bit better than those lines that I just drew. But if they're parallel lines, that's parallel motion. And if I go down here, you notice even, it's easier to see over here, I have one line going up, one line going down, and then they change directions. So let's go ahead and give this one a try from the very beginning. If you have a hard time playing in parallel motion, which is very normal, playing with the hands on the same notes, a lot of people find that to be one of the most difficult things. The key is to practice it hands separately several times first, so that you can kind of let your hands roll on autopilot a little bit when you're trying it together. So we're going to go ahead and you can try it hands separately a few times if you need to, and then we'll go ahead and give the parallel promenade a try. Notice that the first 2 measures of each line are staccato, which is a little short, and then the last 2 measures are slurred. So we're going to play them nice and smooth and connected, and then there's also a repeat sign at the end of each line. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Hold, and now repeat. Don't forget your dynamic signs either. We've got forte at the beginning and piano here. Now next line, starting with and repeat. Wonderful. So go ahead and continue practicing that one. If you find that you're really having trouble with it, definitely give it a try a few times, hands separately. You could also say the finger numbers out loud while you go, or the note names out loud, and that would be a great practice strategy as well. Let's go ahead and try the contrary cakewalk. This contrary motion typically comes a little bit easier, but you might have to focus on it right at the beginning. A lot of times I really emphasize the importance of looking at the music, but this is a time where it might be good to start by kind of glancing down at your hands and making sure that you're playing the same finger numbers. And it's going to have a little bit of a different sound. So let's go ahead and give this one a try. 1, 2, ready, go. And repeat. Excellent. So if you're having a little bit of trouble with that one, again, my biggest recommendation would be to watch your hands in certain sections. That is one where you also have the exact same finger numbers, so you can easily say the finger numbers out loud while you go. A little bit of extra practice opportunities for this one would be to try either one of them. If you started out in a C position with your hands kind of on like the lower C and then middle C, move your hands further apart, and it makes it a little bit more challenging. Or the contrary one. So you could try kind of moving your hands out to the edges of the piano a little bit. Another great thing to try with this one would be to transpose these to a G pentascale position or even an A pentascale position. You could try doing these in a lot of different pentascale hand positions with both hands, just kind of to explore the differences in sound and to practice getting those motions correct and to make it a little interesting by kind of trying it on some different areas. So let's go ahead, and on the following page is a little theory page. Definitely would recommend that you go ahead and give this a try, filling this one out. Then we're going to move right along over to page 70, and here we are introducing eighth notes. So eighth notes are twice as fast as quarter notes. Well, they're half the length of quarter notes. So for every 2 eighth notes is the length of 1 quarter note. And the way that we count eighth notes is 1 and 2 and so forth. So down here, we're going to tap this rhythm through together, and then we'll tap it out on the piano. We have one that's in 3/4 and one that's in 4/4. So you want to think about, what is your quarter note pulse? If my quarter note is like 1, 2, 3, 4, my eighth note would go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. So let's go ahead and give this a try, tapping this through together in 3/4. 1, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and. And if you find that you tend to rush through these notes, which does happen, a lot of people do, sort of like ghost on the ands. So you can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you can kind of like mouth those just to get the feel, to make sure that you're not, because a lot of people will go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and that's not accurate. You got to make sure that you keep those big beats the exact same. So let's go ahead and do the same for the 4/4 one. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can count using the ands for all of your beats. You can kind of mouth them, leave them out, whatever works for you to help you keep a steady pulse. And then go ahead and try tapping these out on the piano, maybe with your right hand first, then your left hand, right hand first, then left hand. That way you get a little bit of practice with the rhythm for both. So we'll go ahead and look over at our first piece, which is French Minuet. We are in a 3/4 time signature, and our hand position has our right hand thumb starting on middle C and our left hand thumb starting on B right below. So we're going to have our hands right next to each other. I would recommend that you go ahead and maybe give this a try, playing it nice and slowly several times. You might want to mark your steps and skips. So that could be something that you could go through and do, is mark the steps and skips in the music. I typically would mark the skips just to kind of show me where those are. That could be something that you could find helpful to do, because we are moving pretty quickly between those notes in the right hand, and we're moving between steps and skips. So maybe go ahead and give it a try really slowly, marking in some note names, marking in some finger numbers, marking in some intervals as you need to. And then here is how it will sound kind of put all together. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1, 2, 3. So go ahead and give that a few tries as you need to. I would definitely recommend counting out loud at least the first couple of times until you feel very confident with the rhythm. And then when you're ready, we can give this a try with our teacher part. And I am playing quarter notes, so my notes are gonna go quite a bit slower than yours. And I will count out loud on the 1 and 2 ands and 3 ands, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Excellent job. Go ahead and continue practicing as you need to. And then we'll move on to morning on page 72 and 73. We are talking about, in this song, introducing a few things. We have these little symbols right here that mean crescendo and diminuendo. This means to get louder. This means to get softer. We're also talking about the phrases. The phrase markings are typically very long slurs, and they're kind of showing a musical idea. Some people call it a musical sentence that's sort of repeated. And then we also have our eighth notes in this one, and we also have a hand position change from the top of the second page. Your left hand is going to start with its thumb on C, and then for the second page, you're going to jump down to a C pentascale position. So you might want to go ahead and circle that first chord right at the top of the page right here. And then in the third line of the second page, you're going to jump back up to that original hand position with your left hand thumb on C. So you might want to go ahead and go through and mark that. Definitely consider practicing this through hand separately and marking in some of the note names, finger numbers, rhythms, hand positions, step skips, whatever you feel benefits you. Also, you might want to mark some of the ties that we have over on this page, especially in the left hand portion. And we also have one here at the very end. And then when you've finished kind of marking things and maybe looking through the notes very slowly, I'll go ahead and give you a demonstration of what this one is going to sound like all the way through. 1, ready, go. And shift. Don't forget the tie. And then we have a little pedal here at the second line. Back up. Hold. Excellent job. So for continuing practice with this one, we'll go ahead and give this a try with the teacher part. And then the other thing that you could do would be to try transposing the first 2 lines of the second page into a G pentascale position with your right hand thumb on G, left hand pinky on G. So that would be another way to kind of do a little bit more practice, sort of extend your practice of this one. Go ahead and give those first 2 lines a try in a G position. And then when you're ready and feel confident, we'll go ahead and give this one a try with the teacher part. I'll count us in. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So that is just an absolutely lovely one, and it really, really is enhanced with the harmony of the teacher part. So I would definitely recommend that you give that one a try, practicing until you can play it with the duet. And then we will go ahead and move right along and look at the next 2 songs, which are sort of introducing the idea of the pickup note, which is basically where at the beginning of the song we have an incomplete measure. So you can see here we have a pickup beat at the beginning. 2 eighth notes equal 1 quarter note, so we just have 1 beat of pickup. And the rule is that we have an incomplete measure at the beginning. We have to sort of make up for it at the end. So our last measure is only going to have 3 beats. Since we're in 4/4, we have one of our beats in an incomplete measure at the beginning. Our last one is only going to have 3 beats. If it sounds confusing, it's a little bit. It really doesn't impact the song that much. It's not going to make that huge of a difference. It just basically means that we have an extra beat there at the beginning, just a short measure at the beginning, and we make up for it at the end. Again, it won't really affect too much of how you actually have to play the song. So let's go ahead and with this one thing to pay attention to on taps here is switching between the right hand and left hand on the eighth notes. So right here, you're going to play the first eighth note, the G, with your left hand, and then the second eighth note, the C, with your right hand. So getting to where you can play that quickly is a little bit trickier. And then also notice that we have a hand position change here at the bottom where we start out with our finger 3 on G for our left hand, and then we move down at the bottom line to a C pentascale position with our left hand. So just be aware of that left hand shift. This song is all skips or larger, so you don't actually have to play any steps in this song. So just find that if you're playing any notes that are right next to each other, you know that that cannot be what you're meant to do. So we will go ahead and give this one a try from the very beginning after you've kind of marked things in, maybe tried the notes through a couple of times. We'll give this a try, and I would definitely recommend counting this one as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, ready, go. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, off. So we notice that last measure just has 3 beats. So again, I would definitely recommend maybe take a few times to count this through. Then we'll try it with the teacher part. For the teacher part, your first 2 eighth notes right here, the day is that pickup, you're going to come in before me. So I'm going to count us in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, ready, go. You're going to play your first note, and then I will come in with you on the done on C, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, ready, go. Day is done. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So keep up the great practice on that one. Getting that coordination to switch back and forth between the left and right hand can be just a little bit tricky. So just keep that in mind. For happy birthday, this one is really, really similar. We have that same pickup beat, literally the same note at the end. We're just in 3/4 this time, so that means that our last measure is going to just have 2 beats because we're already in a 3/4 time signature, so it's a beat shorter anyways. We also have a hand position change on the bottom line. When we come in on that C chord, you're shifting down from your hand position having 3 on G to now in a C pentascale position. We also have what we're learning about is the fermata, and a fermata is just this little symbol, like a little curved line with a dot underneath, and it just means that we hold something out a little bit longer than usual, which we have right here. And it kind of makes sense. It's on the happy birthday, dear someone. Happy birthday to you. So again, that's typically how a lot of people sing it anyways. So it should make a lot of sense right there for you. So let's go ahead and give this one a try through. We do have a little bit more of a blend of steps and skips with this one, and a little bit more complexity in the interaction between the right and left hand. So just be careful of that. You might want to try practicing it just hands separately first. I would also recommend counting for this one, and we'll go ahead and give it a try together. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hold it out, it's a fermata. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Excellent. So keep up the great work practicing on that one. And then when you're ready, we'll give this a try with our teacher part. And this one is the exact same thing. Your first 2 G's, the happy, is going to come in before my part does. So I'll count us in with a 1, 2, 3, ready, go. You'll come in and I'll join you 1 beat later. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. Fabulous. So that brings us to the end of what we're going to look at for our book today. You still have a couple of bonus pieces in your adult class packet, which is available on your Google Drive in the week 1 folder. You'll notice that there's a bunch of Disney songs, and I've also given you guys a couple of challenge songs at the end that are from some actual classical repertoire that you might enjoy trying out. So you're definitely welcome to continue practicing all of those and giving them a go. And that might be a great opportunity for you to kind of try your hand at working on your notes and your counts and your fingers and really investigating and marking those on your own to make sure that you've got everything correct for that. So For a little bit of your practice this week and your theory worksheets, there's a link to some note naming just to see how much you've grown, to really kind of test yourself on how many notes you've learned in the past few weeks. And then also your kind of sight rating packet as well, to focus on naming notes for that one also. Then your listening playlist for this week is a little bit interesting because we're actually going back in time a little bit, and we're going to kind of explain why a lot of the composers that you've had the playlists for so far have been from the later 19th century into the 20th century. And that's really because before about the mid-19th century, the instrument that was available to composers and players of that time wasn't super similar to the instrument that we have today. It sounded really different. It felt really different to play. So it was just not really similar in a lot of the ways that really matter. So when we study piano music, when we talk about the piano as a modern instrument, we're really only talking about the 1860s, 1850s on. So I provided for you guys a playlist that includes 2 videos that are going over the actual instruments themselves that existed pre the early 19th century, the different iterations of keyboard instruments that came before the modern piano, and going over kind of some of the differences and why they're different. And then also some performances of historical composers like Bach and Mozart and Beethoven played on period instruments. So playing on the instruments that they would have actually had access to at the time. And I would love for you guys to think about how different these sound, and maybe note the comparisons between our modern instrument and the instruments that you hear. It would also be really interesting, so if you want to listen to maybe one of the Mozart sonatas that is on there played on a historical instrument, go find a recording on a modern instrument and compare and contrast what it sounds like on the instrument it was written for and on the instrument we often play it on today, and notice what are the differences. It's not better or worse. It's totally fine to play earlier and older pieces on the piano. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's something that's important to consider and important to recognize. So with that, we are finished for our summer piano course. I hope you again are super proud of yourself and all of the hard work that you've put in and learned, and I hope that you feel excited and inspired to continue working and to continue growing. And again, please reach out to me at any time if you have questions or want a little bit of help with your practice or need suggestions for how to move forward. Feel free to let me know. But bye for now, and you have a wonderful rest of your summer.